Hello, and welcome to Why I Love Warhammer, the series where I go into an unscripted ramble about why I love something in this hobby. And on this episode, the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar. These guys are phenomenal and terrifying. So for those who aren't aware, the Eldari, when they gave rise to the Chaos God Slaanesh, they kind of went into a few different paths, and they gave rise to Slaanesh through just unbridled hedonism, just stuff that you can't talk about on YouTube, going absolutely crazy. And yeah, that decadence, that hubris gave rise to a new Chaos God. And the Drukhari basically said, well, it's happened now. Let's just carry on the way we were. So that's who the Drukhari are. Most species, most races, most factions in 40k have an empire. A galaxy large, or trying to get there. The Drukhari have one planet, Commorragh, which is so weird and messed up and dense that they've got just as much firepower in their universe, in their faction as any other faction, but it's concentrated in one place, and physics doesn't work there the way it does otherwise. You can't. If the Imperium tried Exterminatus to just decimate, destroy the entire planet, it wouldn't work. You drop something from the top of the atmosphere, it won't make it to the ground, because you just can't guarantee how anything's going to move. And so I think that's a really fascinating planet and a really fascinating society for them. And they've got different societal structures. You've got your Kabalites, you got your witches, and you got your racks. The Kabalites are my favourite. I'm going to be focusing on the Kabalites in this video, because the Kabalites are really what draws me to the Drukhari. But they've got a fair societal structure going on with these three different areas, and also, the hierarchy. Their leader used to be a slave fighter, because you work your way up, which isn't a terrible system. It's terrible how it manifests. Everything beyond the words "you can work your way up" is pretty terrible. But you work your way up. You can't work your way up Imperial society. You're never going to become a High Lord of Terror if you're lowborn. So yeah, props to them for that much. The other thing is they're raiders and pirates, and I'm a huge pirate fan, so of course I like the Drukhari for having that pirate vibe. So yeah, that's them. I think that it's cool to have like a dark elf equivalent. And then, and they are messed up and twisted. They like torturing folks. There's a story that they worked with some Tau briefly and said, okay, yeah, we want one representative from each of the Tau castes to come with us. And in the next battle, those Tau, that's how Firecast, Watercast, Aircast, Earthcast, and Ethereal were mangled and twisted into horrifying creatures. It's kind of like what the Skaven do to themselves. Skaven clans Molder do to themselves, but they do it to others. It's horrific, and horrific in 40k is good, because that's what the setting's about. So yeah, these guys, Kabalite warriors, I think they're just a really cool looking set of models. Again, I always prefer my guys helmeted. I like the long helmets of the Drukhari, and I think that they're fascinating in that regard. I like the colour, where it's kind of a dark black-green, but with that green edge highlighting. It makes them look it's a simple but dramatic colour scheme. I love the spikiness of them, and I love the weapons. I love this whip. That's just horrific. A battle whip. The guns are fascinating. This thing looks kind of flamery to me. They're just glorious-looking weapons, glorious-looking models, and yeah, again, as like your battle line, your backbone of the army, the Kabalite warriors are brilliant for that. Next up, got an archon. Again, it's everything about the Drukhari that makes them special. This guy's got a cloak made of skin. He's got this really cool bone sword. His arms are crossed like this, which is a very imposing thing. He's got the Kabalite armor, and whereas a lot of models in Imperial and Chaos have a tactical rock, this guy just stands on a rock. He's not putting one foot up on a rock. He's just standing on one. I think that's cool. He's got these chains, weird kind of hook chains. It looks a bit like so in the film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in the original one, basically a lot of people remember very vividly a scene where someone is hung, someone is placed on a meat hook, and in the original film that didn't happen. That's just like a collective memory, a collective false memory. So whenever I see an army faction that is very uses a lot of torch and has those meat hooks, it reminds me of that fictional scene from the original movie that they then made in all the subsequent sequels and remakes and stuff. But I think it's really fascinating to have those swinging hooks, the skin of like stapled together bits of skin. That's not that's not a cloak made from one dude. That's lots of dudes having been stitched together very crudely to make that skin cloak. It's horrifying in all the best ways. Okay, Ravager and the Raider, the two vehicles, and they're really cool looking. I think they've got a pirate ship thing going on. They've got the sails, proper classic flying stands, the hooks coming out the back. It's brilliant. I love the way this thing looks. It feels so imposing to have on the battlefield. Yeah, I just think it's a really, really good model. The Void Reaper, this plane vehicle. I always like the vehicles where there's a clear bit of plastic as well. It kind of encourages painting in sub-assemblies. I think I like this thing. A, it's the aesthetic of it. B, kind of its placement in the faction. But also, I think at one point I tried to make this fantasy thing of make the crew from the crew from Mass Effect, the Mass Effect series, out of Warhammer, and I had this ship down as being the Normandy, the ship from that series. I think that warmed me to the ship a lot more, more than just being a really cool looking ship. I was warmed to it through that association. Same again here, it's just really cool. Like, the shape of this thing, look at these curves. It looks like this looks aerodynamic. This feels like it can fly. And like I've not done aerodynamic tests on it. I don't know if it could sustain flight, but it looks like it can, and that's important to me. That believability. These guys, I think they're really fascinating looking. They've wings, they've got bat wings and bird wings, and they look imposing. They look like they'll fly hop around the battlefield, just bringing the pain. And the Drukhari have that raw power from pain. Like the more wounds they deal with, the more powerful they become. I think these are just really fascinating models. Again, they use spears. This front one's got a spear. One of my favourite weapons, one of my favourite medieval weapons being used by this guy. Fascinating models, and yeah, just these guys around the battlefield would look really scary. I do prefer the armoured ones and the barefoot ones, but still, really, really cool set of models. The other vehicle, I think this one's the transport. No, this one's the heavy one, I think, and not transport. Really cool model. Again, pirate ship with the sails, glorious. And it's really spiky, very much like this brings the pain. And the way this one's painted, that looks like an actual razor blade. Yeah, I mean, really spindly. I'd like trying to carry this thing around, transporting it would be terrifying, but the execution of it's just beautiful. Okay, these guys, I love these swords. The two-handed swords look a bit like Darth Maul's weapon in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. They're scary. They're large. They've got these kind of the helmets remind me a lot of the Sylvaneth in Age of Sigmar, the forest spirit things, and I think these guys handle it really well. And again, these swords are beautiful. I love the way the armor's been done. Just glorious as models. Drazar, Master of Blades. Thank you, Tabletop Tactics, for making me only ever give him the full title, Drazar, Master of Blades. I think he's a really cool model, really cool title. He's got the perfect blend of Kabalite warrior with the guys from before. I love this base stand where it's, you know, kind of on some ruins with some text. I love that the thorns are growing over. It's just a really lovely looking model. The Razorwing flocks. I was a bit gutted I couldn't find these on the web store when I was preparing this. But I think these are really cool. I love the beasts and the idea of, you know, fielding loads of these just swarming in. Just fascinating to me. I love the idea of just having all of the animals just swarming the battlefield, as many as you can, just everywhere. Phenomenal set of models. I love the Razorwing flocks. Bring them back, please. Okay, these guys seem to be in every Eldari species video I do because they are really cool. I love these. I love the Corsair Voidsguard. They're not as piratey as I think they were billed to be, but I still think they look cool, and yeah, just worthy of being in any list that, you know, allows for the variety. I like the sling. I like the bird. This kind of eagle here. It's a kestrel. I love the guns. Just a really cool aesthetic. Okay, final slide. The Kabalite kill team. Everything I said about the Kabalite warriors at the beginning of this, still true for these guys. But also these guys have this bird. I love the birds. But also I think one thing that's nice with the kill teams is that they're sold as a set. And so they feel like they belong together and they're designed to belong together. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out this guy's sword. It is kind of like a whip meets a sword meets a chain weapon. Just brilliant. And this guy's helmet too. So yeah, that's been me gushing over the Drukhari for 12 and a bit minutes. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you can enjoy them too. Comment on the question of the day is, which faction in Warhammer, be it 40k, be it Sigmar, be it Middle-earth, be it any of the settings, which do you think is the most messed up? The one that, you know, yeah, what's the most messed up faction? With that, if you want to drop this video a like, I'd really appreciate that. If you want to comment anything else below, I'd really appreciate that too. If you want to subscribe for more relentless positivity, please join me. It'd be really good to have you aboard. Got a link to a Patreon in the description. If you wanted to drop me some money to keep these videos coming, I'd really appreciate that as well. With that, I hope you're having a really good day, and until next time, have a good one.